Okay, go. So you do the intro because you're like the intro man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hello everyone. Welcome to the intro man talking. We're reading the seven magical balls.
Yeah.
In the Tinmore Podcast again. Hope you know that. And yes, we are going to read the seven magic balls or whatever it's called. I don't
Yeah.
know. Yes, very
In
exciting.
English, it's crystal balls. So
No. Seven magic balls.
okay, they'll be magic.
Yes.
We
Okay.
find them, and it's magic crystal balls.
No.
In English.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna be narrating first.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's just get started. So Tintin's on his way to Marlin's bike on a train, and he's reading the newspaper. Basically, the newspaper says it says something about the Sanders Hardiman expedition, which is
Yeah.
a really important plot point later
Yeah.
on. It's basically about the scientists that go on an expedition to Peru and Bolivia, and they discover a bunch of tombs, Incan tombs, and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And it also mentions the Inca Raskar Capac, which is also an important character who's also dead. But not really. Well, we will see how dead he is.
One of our
So
main characters in this comic is a corpse.
yeah, yeah. But he isn't as dead as we think.
Only a tiny
Or
bit dead.
Foreshadowing. He's like half dead. Okay,
Yeah.
that's enough spoilers.
He's a zombie.
Okay, so this random guy next to him, we don't know. He doesn't have a name. Random guy, that's his name. This random guy next to him, he's like, "Oh, I don't like that." And he's like, "What?"
Got popular opinion. I don't like that. Go away.
don't don't like that. And he's like, "What? Get your own newspaper."
He's like, dude, who gave you permission to talk randomly? Like, what?
I want to
Yeah.
be that guy
So
who's just look at someone's newspaper. I do not like. Go get away.
don't trust that. And then walks away.
Goodbye.
Okay, so since he's like playing along, he's like, "What's gonna lead to trouble?" He's like, "The mummy business, you know. Remember what happened to Tutankhamen?" Things like what? And
Amen.
so he's like, "Okay, like." So think of all these Egyptologists dying in circumstances after they open the tomb of a pharaoh. You know what'll happen to them? The same thing. They're gonna die. And he's like, "You think so?" And he's like, "Yep."
Tintin's like,
So
oh,
why can't?
because remember in 2000 the Pharaoh, he intruded on that one tomb, so he's thinking, oh crap, I'm probably gonna die, aren't I?
Oh yeah. He's like, "Oh my god!" And so this guy's like, so what if the Egyptians came over here and started digging up our graves, our king? What will we do then?" And Tin's like, well, I have to go.
This dude's just like, hey, what do you think of this political statement? And Tintin's just like, excuse me, I don't know you. Please leave me alone.
I don't follow
Yeah, he's
politics.
just like, bye. This is my stop.
Yeah, he's like, I'm having no part in these hot takes today, sir.
Yeah, it's like, oh my god, oh my god, I'm gonna die. In his mind, he's like, oh my god, I'm gonna die. Yeah, he's just like, I have to leave.
He's like, I have to go and get my will in order. Holy crap.
Yeah. Okay, so he's on his way to Marlin's bike, and we get this cool view of Marlin's bike. I don't know why it's so yellow. I don't remember it being this yellow.
Thinking that, I'm like, it looks so yellow.
Somebody peed on it.
Well, I was gonna say it looks like they took the bricks from the yellow brick road and built the house, but that's a hot take too.
I'm sorry, it's so immature.
No, I was kind of thinking that too, though.
We were all thinking that.
Yeah, let's be honest here.
Yeah, let's be honest. But yeah, the yellow brick road is also a pretty hot take.
Yeah, thanks.
Din's like, good morning, is the captain home? And Esther's like, nah, he's riding. See, look at this horse. Now look at this horse.
Look
Look
at
at
this
this horse.
horse.
Isn't it great?
There's multiple
Oh my god,
horses
my
running around.
notifications. Yes, and now look at his master, and Haddock is wearing
Okay,
thick boy
it-
pants. He's wearing the thick boy pants.
he is wearing thick boy pants.
Yay!
What?
Now he and Tintin are matching.
Yeah.
It looks like he just didn't want to ride. He thought his legs looked like too thick, so he just narrowed them in again. Yeah, this is
I'm
fine.
too thick.
Too thick.
He looks
I'm
bottom.
Yeah.
I'm
like-
dummy thick. I can't ride this horse.
Stop.
I'm trying to ride my horse, but it's strapped with my thighs.
Oh my
Like,
god.
Oh boy.
I'm very sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
Welcome to the Very Mature Podcast.
Yeah, we're not teenagers.
I'm not.
We're like 40.
I'm actually
Yeah.
20, so like I'm not a teenager.
Well, you're still it doesn't count. You're
Yeah.
still like almost as young as us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
almost.
Kid, Lamau, go to bed. Ironic.
Wow. Okay, so Tin's like, hey, and Haddock's like, wait a second. And so he's like, bring me my what the heck is it called? What do you call that
Monocle.
again? Yeah, monocle. He's like, bring me my monocle, and he puts on the monocle, and then he greets Tintin.
It's like
It's
it's like those people who was like, don't talk to me before my coffee, you know?
No, you don't want to know me before I drink my coffee.
Before I get my monocle.
Okay, so he's like, okay, now it's good to see you. When I didn't have my monocle on, I didn't want to see you, but now I do.
Oof.
Okay, so he's like, so what brings you here? Tim's like, well, I just dropped by to say hello. So how is Professor Calculus? And he's like, oh, he's fine. He's just looking for a Saxon burial ground, just normal everyday stuff.
Just kind of looking for a corpse in the neighborhood, you know? As you do.
Yeah, normal stuff that happens every day. You know him. So he's like, oh, great, it's Tim. Are you staying sometime? You don't know how long. It's like sometime. And Tim's like, no, I have to go home this evening. And he's like, oh, that's great. assuming he misheard him because he always does that.
Yeah, now
So,
Tintin has to stay
yeah.
the night because Calculus is expecting him to. So Tintin's like, well, I can't let him down. He's my friend now. So he's like, stay the night.
I mean,
Oh yeah, also he's a dangerous man. He could come and murder me if I don't stay.
It's also very sad that Sunflower Man, he bought the entirety of Marlinspike. And they're just using him and his money.
No, they're friends. It's like a mutual.
Yeah. What if Sunflower's just like forcing them against their will to like stay there?
Game theory.
He's-
What if Sunflower is like
He's
having
like,
like
okay,
a
I'm paying for this.
slavery? What if he like grows drugs in his laboratory?
Oh gosh.
We don't have any proof he doesn't.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because Tintin says he has to go home that evening, but like, I'm kind of wondering why. Like, is there a specific reason that he can't stay the night? That he has to go back to his apartment? Like, it's a small detail, but I'm curious. Like, what's he doing?
Yeah. I'm just like, well, he probably has to, do some boring stuff.
Journal stuff. Feed Snowy. Never mind.
I'm kind of thinking, well, maybe he has to like get up for work.
I have to go do some boring stuff.
What does
Be right back.
Tintin do?
He's a reporter, Koso.
What is he reporting on?
I don't know. The fact that he gets kidnapped all the time.
This
There's a
weird
lot-
man spoke to me on the train. Omega lol. Arrest him. Lol.
Yeah. But like,
It's like, ugh, I mean, that adventure was so fun, but now I have to write about it.
Yeah. He like
Yeah.
procrastinates at work. They're like, "Hey, Tintin, what'd you do this weekend?" He's like, I kind of found like some treasure, just random stuff." And they're like, "Excuse me?" And he's like, "Yeah, I gotta go now." And they're like,
Gotta go
"What?"
Wait,
like
you should. They're like,
revive this
wait,
old
you should write about.
corpse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like he ends up just not writing about it.
Yeah. He like
Yeah.
forgets something. He's just like doing other stuff, and he's like, "Oh crap! I forgot I have a job."
He has like a bunch of sticky notes with him all the
Yeah.
time.
Maybe that's
Yeah,
why
and
he.
his poor coworkers are like, what the heck?
I know they're like, because Tintin, you never see him at any sort of office. He's just wandering around, and he sends in like these insane articles about like taking down like drug smugglers or whatever, and they're just kind of like, how is this guy doing it? What?
How is he surviving this?
I know.
They're like,
And how is he not writing about it? Like,
Yeah.
he's
yeah.
okay, maybe he has to go home because he procrastinated for so long, and now he has a deadline, and he's like, oh, I gotta like write it all in one night so I don't get in trouble, and that's why he has to go home in the evening.
Yeah, I sure hope I don't have enough right now.
Mm.
With
Yeah,
spoiler alert, he will.
yeah.
Oof.
He's like, I can't wait to have a normal day. And then like weird stuff starts happening. He's like, okay, I guess not then.
Okay. Yeah, I know, right? Okay. Yeah, calculus. Where were we? We went on off on such a tangent.
He was just like, I'm happy that you're going, that you're leaving.
I'm happy that you're leaving.
Yes.
But no, he's really just happy because he thinks he's staying. So, and he's like, okay, I gotta get back to finding a burial ground. And
I mean,
so,
corpse I buried earlier.
because he's so dangerous.
Time to
Yeah,
commit war crimes in Albania.
So Haddock's like, why don't we have a drink? But first, let me show you something. And then when they go inside the chateau, Snowy sees the cat. Snowy chases after him, and he bumps into Nestor. While he's holding all these trays full of, I'm assuming, alcohol.
yeah.
Yeah, and he has to do some break dancing because, like, you know, he
Yeah.
bumped into him. Yeah,
He
and
needs
then
to show
he,
sick moves.
Nessa,
yeah,
don't be
he
grooving.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then because he break danced, he saves the bottles of whiskey. But
Nice.
then he doesn't. Then
Oh,
he doesn't because Snowy ruins everything.
as always. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Hmm.
Snowy's a dog. He can't be held that accountable for stuff.
I know. He's just chasing a cat. It's pretty
Yeah.
normal. So he chases the cat down, and the cat scratches him. And Snowy comes down with a black eye, so I'm assuming the cat punched him as well.
The cat just gets up and socks. Oh, that there was this video I was watching. This is completely unrelated. I'm sorry, but I was watching this video, and this guy talks about like this old movie called The Shaggy Dog or something. Maybe it wasn't that, but it was something along that line. And the plot is that this guy gets turned into a dog every so often, and there's one clip that this guy shows, and the clip, this it's like this guy in a dog costume, and he gets up and he just sucker punches this dude, and it's hilarious.
Okay, so something's like Snowy, you miserable animal, you mutt. You did this to
You
yourself.
muppet.
And that's like really mean, Tintin. Don't scold him. He got
Yeah,
beat up. He just got beat up by a cat. He just got sucker punched by a cat. And you're telling him, and you're
like
like telling him off.
it's kind of reasonable because Snowy just ran around the house, knocked over a bunch of glass bottles, but calling him a miserable animal seems kind of mean.
Yeah, I know, right? I
In
just
my
don't like every time he scolds Snowy.
Yeah.
in my version, he just says crazy dog.
Well, the Americans are a lot meaner, I guess. They're like,
Yeah.
how should we translate this? Miserable animal. Let's just okay with that for some reason.
Yeah, I want to give my dog all the love he needs. And then he's like, miserable animal.
The love of your life.
So, like, so Haddock's like, okay, leave him alone. I need to show you something. And Haddock's like, okay, so just keep your eyes open, but let me put on another monocle. Okay, so then he's like, so note that this is plain water that I'm pouring into this glass, right? And okay, and you see this cardboard like cylinder? It's empty, right? And Tim's like, yeah, it's empty. He just like agrees with him, but in his mind he's like, what the hell? And so I put this cylinder over the glass, right? And the glass, it contains what? Din's like, it contains water. And he's like, yes, listen carefully. Now, watch carefully. Presto! He like does some magic trick on the thing. And so, voila. So, what would you kindly tell me what is in there? And Din's like, water, right? And Haddock's like, he just cracks himself up at the idea of water is just so like, so ridiculous to him. He just like, oh my god, water. It's so funny. I hate it.
Oh my god.
It's so funny. He just hates water so much that the idea of water just cracks him up. But Tintin's like, but there is water. There's still water in here. And so Haddock drinks it and is like, oh man, you're funny. But then he spits it out because it actually is water. Spoiler alert, it's water. Sorry.
No.
I'm so sorry.
How is it possible?
Oh no, he's like, oh man, I didn't see this coming. Why is this water? And Tintin's like, what on earth did you expect? And he's like, I expected whiskey. And Tintin's like, whiskey, come on now, Captain, you can't be serious.
Well, like,
Why would water... What?
he's like, that Jesus guy did it with wine, so like, why can't I do it with whiskey?
He's so dicky, he just wants to like do magic tricks and get whiskey.
Remember our Savior, Jesus Christ? He did it.
Dear God,
So
give
maybe
me
I
whiskey.
can do it. I am Jesus.
Give me whiskey.
Spoiler alert. Okay, so Haddock's like, it's impossible. It can't be. It is not impossible though, because he does it every time. And Tim's like, who's that guy? And he's like, he's Bruno, the master musician. And I've studied his ways for a fortnight.
For 40 years.
No, I'm just like, I was playing Fortnite and then I saw him do it.
Yeah.
So he
40
just says, I
years.
studied that for a solid fortnight. And I'm trying to discover how he does it. But yesterday I thought I solved it, but you know what? I didn't. So we're going back again tonight in the Hippodrome.
Yeah.
It's like it's a building called Hippodrome.
It's like a
And
theater
so
place.
Yeah, theater.
It's
yeah. Theater. Okay, so Tin's like, he's like saying like a bunch. He's like saying the order of the thingy and the order of the shows, like who's going on first. And
Yeah.
Hag's like, here he comes. Here comes Ragdalam the Fakir. He's pretty great too.
You think
And he
Tintin
just
would be a bit
what?
weary of? You think Tintin would be a bit weary of fakirs, considering, you know,
He's been
the fact
hypnotized and nearly killed by one.
he's like, oh gosh, and Haddock's like, what? And Tintin's like, did I never tell you about that? Very awkward.
Yeah, one time I almost died.
Haddock is just like, when? You almost die like every day, Tintin.
That's never.
Yeah, so Tintin, he's like, oh, there's a bunch of people coming now. Then it's this Fakir, Ragdalam, and these other people, and the captain, he shushes on him and says, shh, now it's Ragadal. It's him now. And Ragadal's on this big stage with this like entire orchestra and everything. And he says, my ladies and gentlemen, you're about to witness in this very moment, which I will demonstrate for this like for Her Majesty, and he like explains all of this nonsense, and he explains his powers are really great, and welcome, Madame Yamila. It is good to...
Also, in the panel before that, when he's going on that whole spiel, he says, It's my privilege to introduce to you one of the most amazing personalities of the 20th century. And I just find that really hilarious.
Yeah.
This woman. Look at this woman. That's her
Look at this
right there.
She has aged since the 20th century.
Yes. So now the Ragamadal, he like hypnotizes this lady, and he says, "Are you ready to answer my questions? 5. Good. Look at me, lady, Madame Yamalia. What do you see in what is this man's name? Constantine. Is that correct, my sir? Yes, it is correct." And he keeps going. What does this lady have in her bag? She has like this paper and a bunch of notes and a few keys, and a passport. And what does the number on her credit card say? Someone write this down.
What's his credit card information?
And she just says a few numbers, and they're all cheering. And he goes a little further along and says, "Madame Yamila, can you explain me what the woman in the third row is she's married or not?" "Yes, she's married." "Very well. And what is her husband's profession?" "Photographer, movie photographer." "Is that correct, lady?" "Yes, it is correct." Yes, it is correct."
Why does that woman in the crowd look like she's about to attend a funeral? Like,
Yeah, true. She has like all black clothes.
yeah, she looks like she either just came from one or she's about to go to one. And either way, I think it's kind of a weird thing to either dress like that going to the theater or go to the theater before or after a funeral. Like, that just seems odd.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a foreshadowing because something's gonna
True.
happen to her husband.
Shh. Spoiler.
Spoiler.
Yeah. And then Madame, the lady, she says, "I see him coming back from a very far place. Oh no, he's suffering from a magical illness." And the lady in the row, which was married, she says, she explained that it's not very funny that she's married.
He's
And-
like, not funny, didn't laugh.
Sorry, not funny. You got the whole squad laughing. And the lady goes on and says, "Oh no, it's illness without mercy. The sun god's merciness has been awoken, and and she dies." And this like stage man, he comes on and says, "Ladies and gentlemen, we're very sorry about the performance in this moment, but the lady who's called Mrs. Claremont, that is an important name. Remember that. Remembering that? Write it down."
Okay, it's different in English. What do I do?
Mrs. Funeral Lady. Call her that, Mrs. Funeral Lady. This is going to be
Alright,
so
that's
sad for the new viewers to follow along who the heck everyone is, but yes. Mrs. Funeral Lady should go home and say to her husband that this crazy lady at this theater says he's gonna die. The captain,
We interrupt this program to tell you that your husband is going to die.
I'm very sorry.
Okay, and then they just continue the show after.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're not going to stop the show for her. Gosh.
Then the next show comes on, and it's this like knife thrower guy. Yeah. So now this knife thrower guy, he comes around. Ramon Zarate. He is like this Mexican looking guy. That's racist. There's characters and everything. And he says, "Senors and senoras, this act I'm about to do is very, very dangerous, and I will ask you for as much asylum as possible. And Tintin asks for the captain's zoomy things,
They're
binoculars.
Zoomy things.
Shut up. And Tintin asks for the captain's binoculars because that's how far away they are from the scene.
Yeah.
And they're on, And he sees, oh no, it's General Alcazar. Woo! Anyone remember that guy?
Yay.
You probably don't.
from Broken
From-
Ear.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's like this cool guy.
Yeah.
And the
He's
captain.
the guy you got sick with. Yay!
Yeah. He's the guy that had like
Yay.
1,000 corporals or like lieutenants, wasn't it?
Tintin being one of them.
Yeah, actually. First time we saw Tintin drunk.
Yeah.
And then Alcazar he just throws knives, and this poor guy seems very easy for the guy being
You know
thrown.
what? You know what's weird? Like, Tintin says like after the captain says like, who is he? He's like, Tintin's like, do you remember him? And it's like kind of weird because we never see Captain Haddock actually meet General Alcazar.
Well, I think it's assuming that Tintin told him, but it kind of looks like Tintin just didn't tell Haddock about his stint in San Theodoros.
And he
And
just
so-
like forgot about it. Tintin just thinks that Captain Haddock knows Alcazar.
Yeah. Tintin's just like, oh, I kind of assumed I told you about that or that you read about it in the papers because, I wrote
And Haddock's like, Haddock's like, why are you friends with a dictator?
Yeah. Well, Tintin's like, oh yeah, he used to be the president of San Theodoros. Tintin does not mention that he used to be a colonel for this guy
Yeah.
because it's unimportant apparently. Just imagine
Yeah.
that, like, Tintin does mention that, and Haddock is like, what are you talking about? You were a colonel in San Theodoros? What? And Tintin's like, look, dude, it's a long story.
Yeah.
I got time to look up was a colonel. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, no big deal. I don't know what you're so shocked about.
Yes.
And Tintin just has to think about like what other things he didn't tell the captain.
Like Tintin's like, I killed a man.
So Alcazar he just goes on with all his tricks, and he says, "Señor and señoras, I will now do my first act blindfolded, and I will someone from some of the like viewers people come and put this fold around my eyes so I cannot see." So he throws this knife as like this melon looking thing, which is really weird. I don't know why they used a melon, but okay.
You don't want to stab the dude that's standing there on the other side of the knives.
What?
Because they don't want to stab the assistant co-so.
Well,
so
why
they
is it a melon? Why is it not like a piece of cardboard? Oh, wood.
Because it would have gone through the cardboard.
Why not wood? Why does it have to be a melon?
Melons don't deserve mercy.
Oh.
So they can eat it afterwards.
Victory lunch. Yeah.
They're just cutting it up right in front. They're like, well, we are really hungry after this, so let's just throw the knife at the melon, and that way we have a head start on cutting it up. There we go.
Strategy.
Yeah, big brain.
Problem solved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the next show comes on, and it's it's Bianca Castafiore. Woo! You remember that guy too, lady too? You probably don't either. Yeah, but she's like this lady that sings, and she's from the Autocars Scepter, right? Yeah. And she just sings, and because she sings so loud, everyone's hair is like blowing the wrong way, or like
It looks different than she does in later comics.
Yeah.
She does She has a completely different hair color and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what?
Yeah.
Girls gotta get dressed.
Okay, fair.
Girls gotta
Um,
look good.
and then then Snowy, he's like, ooh, ooh, because the sound is so bad, so they have to go out backstage. And
See, that's why you should bring dogs to the theater. Like,
yes.
I appreciate that Tintin's like, I'm gonna bring my dog with me. But also, don't bring your dog to the theater.
Yeah. Then they walk backstage, and I think they put on normal clothes. No, they don't. And they decide, hey, let's go up and meet Alcazar. I'm always going to say Alcatraz.
Let's go meet a prison.
Yeah. And they walk through this like entire labyrinth of stuff, and they meet the guy from earlier, which predicted someone's funeral or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they see a clown that's reading the sports news, which for some reason needed to be looked at. And so they knock on door number 14, and they walk in on General Alcazar and his assistant. And they said like, hey, how are you? Caramba, Tintin, my old soldier, amigo mío, what a surprise! Hey, Deus de mio vida! I'm so happy to see you again. And who is this person? This is my friend Captain Adolf. Los amigos de nuestros amigos son nuestros amigos. I'm so happy to see both of you, Senor General. I think it's very nice to meet you as well, Mr. Alcazar. Tus cuitas no eres la policía. Ah, bueno. And Alcazar explains that to his assistant guy. Chicoto sees the police everywhere. And they wanted to check our passport and our allowance to be here. And so they rate my Spanish, by the way. And so they decide to take a drink of this apparently very, very strong the whiskey.
Yeah.
Which poor little Haddock can't drink because it's so
You
hot.
know what? It might be the same stuff that Tintin got drunk on back in Broken Ear.
True theory.
Remember his reaction when he first had a drink that was a similar color
Yeah.
in Broken Ear? He made almost the exact same face as Haddock.
Yeah, you're
true.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Alcazar, he explains that there's no revolution in his homeland, so he got kicked out again. And the General Tapioca, from last time I think, or like from the previous, not the previous, Broken Ear, right?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
He took the power again. Now then, Hallecky says, we gotta go now, Tintin. The police on our tail. No, they're not. That was a joke. So they walk back again. And now this is like an entire 2-1 page is dedicated to walking around this like backstage area. And they walk into this like giant area with these gigantic walls, somewhat walls, like cardboard walls. They're just put up against the wall. And Haddock, he just tries to get out, and he kicks a door which is he just taped onto the door. Oh my god. He kicks the door that is taped onto the wall, and everything just collapses down on him, and everything goes wrong. And he walks out on this Batman guy, and he falls down on the drums, and they have to pay like big money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The end.
The end. That's the end of that.
Guys.
The only thing important in this was Mrs. Funeral Lady, about her. That's the only important thing about this. And Alcazar. I
Yeah,
think.
a lot of filler, set
Well,
piece drama.
I mean,
Check.
Tintin filler is its own like theory, like its own thing. Like that's good filler. The 2 days later, so Tintin he reads the newspaper, which says there's a new epidemic. Um, um,
Wait, does it really say epidemic in your comic?
yeah.
Oh,
Demonetized.
it just says mystery illness in English.
And that just sounds like a mysterious epidemic. Mystery illness.
It's a mystery epidemic. We'll go with that one.
The
Yeah.
magic illness.
And
Yeah.
last night, the newspaper mentions that the latest victim of this mystery epidemic was Peter Clarkson,
AKA Mrs. Funeral Lady's husband.
it was Mr. Funeral Guy.
Mr.
I
Funeral.
didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
It's weird too. He was on that expedition that just got back from robbing graves.
Wow.
Basically, that's what they were doing.
Yeah. And then Tintin he has like this flashback about this weird guy reading his newspaper like some sort of thief.
He's like, maybe that guy caused it.
Yeah. And the guy
Remember that?
and the guy he explains the thing about all the archaeologists that suddenly died because they opened the pharaoh's grave. They're going to die as well, just like you, my young friend.
Ginger's like, holy crap, I'm actually next.
And someone's knocks at the door, and guess who it is? Timson and Thompson.
Oh,
Woo!
Yay.
Yay! More filler.
Finally.
And he asks how they are, and they go to sit down and say, "Yeah, we're very good. Yes, we are indeed very good." And they just explain how there's like stuff going around. They explain that the two victims have been found sleeping by the working table with these glass shards by them, like shards of glass, you know.
how strange.
How strange, yeah. And they have sent them to analysis and everything. Yes, and in that very moment, the laboratory calls back.
Wow, coincidence.
Yeah. Yes. So now another, and it's actually not the laboratory. Sorry.
Yeah.
Um.
Well, it that one of the Thompsons was like, you know what? I'll call the laboratory right now to see if they have the results.
Oh yeah.
And so that's why, you know.
Yeah. And then this professor guy, he's also died or fallen asleep, I guess.
You're just this.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I'm so tired. I'm just gonna sleep for like they get home, and one of the guys is like, you know what? I'm just gonna sleep for like 10 years. They're like exaggerating, but then they actually do sleep for like 10 years.
Yeah. So they decide to call this other professor guy. And they're like, hey, watch out. Right? Yeah, I'm going to watch out.
Yeah.
Yeah. End of that.
Yeah.
So they say, let's meet up and so you can get into security and everything. So he takes, the professor man, he takes his gun with him, which I think is illegal in wherever they are. So
I think they're in Europe somewhere.
in what? Where?
Europe somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, so he takes this blue taxi. That's, I don't know how he can see that's a taxi, but it's blue. It has a red number. So they take this taxi, and Tintin he calls up another Mr. Professor Man. He knows a lot of. Wait, are these the people from the Mystery Star thingy.
Yeah, they're the people from the expedition, and Tintin's calling because they're like concerned about these people also going into comas,
Yeah.
and so he calls one guy, and because I think call this one guy, or they call the lab, and they're like, yeah, we have no idea what this stuff is, and then Tintin calls one of the explorers, who just you can tell he's an explorer. His room has like animal heads and like all kinds of weird knickknacks everywhere, and um. And Tintin is like, yeah, they just got this guy, so we're thinking maybe you're next. And he's like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna get a taxi, just come over to your house, and I'll keep away from windows, don't worry about it. And so he gets a taxi, he gets his gun first of all, because he's like, whatever got my companions, I'll shoot it in the face. And he gets a taxi and he tells it to go to 26 Labrador Road, which is Tintin's address. And so that's what's happening. Is that this guy's gonna go to Tintin's place because they have like questions, or they're gonna try and protect him or something.
Basically.
I feel offended. I've just been TLDR. Or like
Yeah.
longer didn't read.
Something I forgot to mention is that after this guy decides to get in the taxi to go to Tintin's place, Tintin calls a different professor and tells him, and Tintin's just like, "Oh, I'm glad I caught you." And for some reason, this guy responds with, "My dear Tintin," as if he knows him, which is likely. I don't know.
Well, maybe
But
they were
this
friends.
guy, yeah,
Don't
that's what
judge
I'm
them.
thinking. It's like,
Well, he's a famous journalist who like almost died a bunch, so
yeah, I mean, it's very likely that this guy, like, because Tintin's a reporter, maybe he did a report on a different expedition this guy did. Who knows? But I just think it's like
I
kind of
yeah, I
they
think he's
have
just
to know
that
each other.
famous.
Yeah. And
Mm.
yet Haddock doesn't know about Tintin doing stuff in San Theodoros.
Because he's
Maybe
a
he's
boomer.
Jared 19.
He's Jared 19.
But yeah, they have to know each other because otherwise, him responding with "My dear Tintin" would be extremely strange.
If someone said that to me, I would be like, whatever. I would
Yeah.
be like,
Well, it's like
okay.
if a
Thanks.
stranger said that to me, I'd be
Thanks for
like,
calling, Mom.
"Excuse me."
Yeah. Meanwhile, when Tintin is speaking to this professor, the dear professor,
Yeah.
they're like, he stops talking all of a sudden, and we see this like big, like zoom out picture, I guess, a bird's eye view of his office, and a brick has been thrown into his office, and that looks like the only thing. Yeah.
Mhm. But there's a lot
The
of class. He's unconscious. It's so strange.
yeah.
Yeah.
The taxi with the pistol guy arrives, and guess what? He's dead. He's dead as well. Well, like sleeping as well.
No.
With these glass shots again, and the taxi driver explains that they stopped at one red light, where a taxi pulled up on their left side, and he heard a like very silent sound of glass breaking. But I didn't think it was like a problem.
I don't know how it got into the cab in the first place. Because first of all, the window is up, and there's like no marks on this window, so like it's not broken.
Back
So
window
like
maybe? No, wait, yeah. Where is it?
because none of the windows are broken and none of them are rolled down either. So how would the crystal fragments have gotten there to like break?
Teleportation.
Teleported.
Oh, they're magic.
Bond.
Okay, that makes
That's why they're magic balls.
sense. There you go.
Yeah.
Mind if I take over here, Kaso?
Yeah, that's fine.
Alright, so Tintin's basically just like, well, this sucks, you know? And he tells the cab driver, like, go up to my apartment and go call, and go tell those police officers that will be in there. Tell them I'm sorry, because I'm gonna go warn Dr. Midge. And the cab driver's just like, sounds legit. And Tintin runs off. And it shows like all these papers talking about like this mystery illness, these magic crystal balls. And Haddock, he's like sitting reading the newspaper and listening to the radio, and the radio's like, of the 7 explorers who took part in the expedition, only these two, Dr. Midge and Professor Tarragon, have escaped the terrible fate of their colleagues. And all the police are watching them like really closely, and um, it shows the
Oh my god.
museum. It's just the museum where one of them works, and this guy walks up to the door of the director, which is where this guy is, and one of the Thompsons goes, "Halt! Try fire!" It, I don't know. He's holding his cane, but it
Oh,
also
fire
kind
out
of
of this
looks like,
cane.
well, they are guns, as established by the last comic.
Oh yeah, that's kind of sick.
Yeah,
It would be
it,
cool if they were actually guns, like in
yeah.
movie.
It kind of
Yeah.
does look like it's a shotgun, but it just has a handle at the end, and so like
Mm.
that would be kind of cool, but the Thompsons aren't allowed to be cool. So,
Yeah.
They're cool in their
but
own way.
yeah, they're cool in
Yeah.
their own
They're cool
way.
in a goofy way.
Yes, thank you. But this guy comes up to one of the Thompsons and says, "Hey, I had to deliver this letter and parcel to Dr. Midge, who is the director of this museum, and that's why they're there." And Thompson's like, "Okay, whatever." And you see inside the office, and the mailman just puts this stuff on Dr. Midge's desk, and you see the other Thompson like standing at the window, just looking in, and it's so funny.
It's
And
like that Spider-Man meme
yeah,
where he's
when
just
he's like,
pointing at.
I thought of
yeah.
whack-a-mole. You just... Oh.
Well, I was thinking of the Spider-Man meme where he's like looking through the ceiling. I thought that's what you were talking. Uh, but
Man.
yeah, the mailman leaves, and Midge is like, "Oh, it's one of my colleagues in Java sent me this unknown butterfly species that he caught out there." And he's like, "Oh, this is so exciting. Let's look at this strange thing." And I say thing because I have no clue what he says. He says, it's like this really weird word that I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce. But anyways, one of the Thompsons that was standing at the door, he's like, "Are you insane? You can't open that. It could be a trap. Give it to me and I'll open it myself." And Midge is like, "Wait, what? What about you?" And Thompson is like, "It's my duty, Doctor, to protect people." And we do stuff like this every day, basically. And um, Thompson goes over to other Thompson and says, "Come on in quickly. Let's look at this suspicious parcel." And they're like, they go outside the director office and they're like freaking out because it could be something dangerous. So they're like, "What? We better open it calmly." And they're like shaking and everything. And they open it up, and it's a butterfly.
Oh no.
Yep,
Oh
it's just a
my
butterfly.
god.
The Thompsons, they're just like, "Oh gosh, it's just a butterfly. That's okay." And then one of them goes, "Wait." They're like, "Oh, someone's coming." And then Tintin comes up. He's like, "Hey, how's it going, guys?" And they're like, "Oh, it's Tintin." And they're like, "Yeah, it's fine. We just had a narrow escape. Tintin, we almost died and everything. We just opened this suspicious-looking parcel. But it's only a butterfly. Look at it." And Tintin's like, "Oh, that's really pretty." And Tintin just changes the subject. He's like, "Okay, it's good to see Dr. Midge's door is well guarded. What about his window, though?" And one of the Thompsons goes, "Oh, well, I'm guarding that." And Tintin's like, but you're standing in here." So, and the
Small
Thompson's like,
brain.
"Yeah." And the Thompson is like, "Oh my gosh, holy crap." And they hear like crashing sounds. And Tintin flings open the door to the director's office. And he's fainted.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh,
Oh, what a nice bird. But
yeah.
anyways, he fainted. I'm just like, I'm just like, oh, that's a nice bird.
It actually
Dang,
is.
that looks nice.
Rainbow bird. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's where this episode is stopping.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh
no.
no.
We're living on a
What's gonna
cliffhanger
happen?
because we were all very late to the party.
Yeah.
This
And
has
you know.
been 50% or a little less than 50, a lot less than 50% of 7 magic balls. We've been Milku.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's you.
Yes.
Yes, Dog Bunny. And Mecha.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, and Koso, me. Thank you very much for joining the Tinmore Podcast for this week. We hope you will return next week to listen to the rest of the
You
7.
have to. We're only about to do the
Yeah.
cliffhanger.
Else Sunflower will commit war crimes. Do it.
Maybe one day.
Yeah. Thank you for listening. This has been the Tinmore Podcast.